Alright, so welcome back to Golden League 2, Round 3, and we've got game number 2 in the best of 3 between RecoN on Mali, once again, in the blue trunks, up against Leenock in the red trunks on Rus. So we've got an identical Civ matchup between our players for game number 2, with RecoN successful in the first game, and I don't think I've ever seen Leenock get spanked so hard in a single game. No offense to him, but man, those Warrior Scouts Imba, Warrior Scouts strong. So we'll have to see if if Leenock has gone back to the drawing board, and if he's going to come up with something that's really going to deny RecoN the opportunity to take advantage of these Malian Scouts, which can be upgraded to a Warrior Scout with a lot of bonus damage over the regular Scout unit. So Leenock trying to go for the gold up for grabs here. So every time he's able to pick off one of these deer, he's going to get 10 gold. One of those Rus specific bonuses. Well, over here he's found both of his hunts, so that's great for him. He's managed to clear a lot of RecoN's hunt there as well. Well, RecoN has found this other hunt at the back, so he's going to at least deny Leenock that bit of gold. But right now the Rus player, is a little bit up in terms of that hunt gold, basically. And so now Leenock just needs to try and find a couple of these wolves and really get that gold in the bank. He's picked off one there, so that's 25 gold each per wolf. Wolf. Sorry, just the way I'm talking sounds funny to myself because my fucking throat's so dry. But RecoN, nice lap there, picking off a couple of sheep. So not at this level of play, but at lower levels of play, it's not uncommon for people to get so caught up in the fighting over the hunts and fighting over the wolves that they don't necessarily pick up as many sheep as they otherwise could. But obviously with this caliber of player, something like that's not such a problem. RecoN going to be able to go on his wood line here by the look of it, as well as go for his Mansa quarry, or Leenock. Is he going to go Kremlin once again? It's funny, when I sort of started playing, and when I played Rus, it was Golden Gate openings every single game, but nowadays it seems like it's Kremlin openings nearly every single game for the Rus. Or Mansa quarry seems to be the more standard opening for the Malians. So I wonder if RecoN's going to open with a similar style of 2 stables once again, or if he's going to change it up. Well, Leenock last game, he opened with ranged and spears first before really adding cavalry. So Leenock already going for that little bit of scout harass on the houses, and so they don't take too long to kill, particularly the Malian ones. Now we got RecoN trying to defend with a single scout. Just going to be careful to not lose it. Age up's kicking in. Pretty similar times here. Leenock actually committing a lot more villages to his. He's going to go on. Oh, he's going to go for the boar all the way over here by the looks of things. Going to be able to clean up one of these houses. It's already starting to hurt the hip pocket of RecoN. Leenock's up to 5. Ah, here we go. He's already got some spears. Oh no, he's already got those militia in tow, sorry. So these guys, going to be useful. A lot like an early spearman. for that little bit more damage here. Make it hard for RecoN to engage with the warrior scouts. At the same time, if he really just ignores that baller units and tries harassing himself, able to get a bit of value out of this. So RecoN's gone for a single stables, not going up to 2 just yet. So he's got the warrior scout upgrade. These guys have a little bit more damage over a regular scout, and otherwise all the same stats. So Leenock's managed to clean up a couple of houses there. Not a huge amount of value, but I mean it is something. At the same time, now that those militia have gone down, RecoN can just replace the houses and start applying a bit of pressure. So Leenock going with split military buildings. Is Leenock just playing the same way he just played into RecoN and lost? He's going for the barracks over here next to the boar, but would it be better suited being just at home near the Kremlin so, you know, it's actually defended itself? Because, I mean, realistically, until RecoN masses up enough to actually take down that fortress, Leenock's workers over here are safe. He's only got 8 workers. He can just garrison them all in there. So I just don't understand why both last game and this game he's trying so hard to force his military production. I mean, trying to put his military production outside his base. Like, I mean, I guess last game it made a lot more sense because the ball was like here, so it really cut down his travel time with trying to pressure RecoN. But this game, I think doing it, don't know if it's really going to serve a great purpose, because last game, and funnily enough, I've already spoken with RecoN about the result of that first game in the series. That last game, it was basically Leenock's death knell, putting 4 military production buildings around the fortress and the boar, and then losing a lot of it. You know, and leading up to that, RecoN really just worked him down with constant warrior scout run-bys. I mean, this game, it does look like the wood line's a lot more safe for Leenock, unless RecoN wants to wrap all the way around here and try and hit over here. And even just wait a little bit longer for those villagers to actually start gathering a little bit further in, like over here. This game, Leenock's actually gone for a bit more of his own cavalry. So he's got his own horsemen here to defend, whereas last game, Leenock largely played around like just infantry, ranged and melee, like getting archers and spears. But this game, it's just seemingly just a pure melee comp. So he's got scouts, horsemen, and spears. And, you know, he's pumping out the militia as well, because they're basically like a half-price spearman that only sticks around for 90 seconds. So, I mean, I wonder why players are placing the Kremlin so safely and then distance building military buildings. Realistically, you can put all the military buildings at home, put the Kremlin forward, and make better use of the actual lifespan. Because, like, your regular spears are going to last forever. Your militiamen aren't. So, for the time being, Leenock going to deal a bit more damage. Hit a RecoN. But RecoN's now starting to really get that nice critical mass of warrior scouts. And with the Donso at home, these guys are a spearman that also gets an initial javelin throw as well. Gives him a little bit more of an advantage. At least militia. RecoN's going to have to try and fight them eventually, because Leenock knows he's going to lose him in a couple of seconds. RecoN was originally just trying to back out of that fight as long as he could, reducing the amount of damage he was actually going to have to take before those militia expire. So that's quite smart for him. And now he's looking at doing that same sort of sit right in between Leenock's boar and his main base that he was doing last game. And at least this game, Leenock's only committed the 1 barracks over here, which is you know, probably a lot safer than committing all of his production. But now he's got the rest of it all back at home. So I do like the fact that Leenock sort of wised up to the fact that if RecoN ultimately denies this, it's game over. You know, if you've got, if you've got 3 or 4 military production buildings and you lose it, it's just so hard to come back from, especially if you fall behind on military count or villager count or both at all. You can be pretty much screwed. The ball's finished, and I think RecoN knows it, so I think he's just waiting for Leenock to try and move out with the villagers and hope he actually catches them. While Leenock, he knows that there is actually some warrior scouts in tow here, so he's going to try and wrap up one of them, trying to escort the villagers back to the huntable packs as safely as possible here. So far, I think Leenock's the one that's really been able to deal all the actual damage here. Because bearing in mind, I think that kill value also factors in the militia that have just died from expiry. But in saying that, they're not free, so... Leenock is going to lose this fortress, cabin, and barracks. So the gold trickle of the cabin's pretty inconsequential. I think it's really just the fact that if he can take the barracks out here, as well as kill individual spearmen as they train, sort of puts Leenock in the spot where he's got to try and push here and deal as much or more damage to RecoN. It's actually nice and ward in here. Leenock done the same thing back there as well. It's going to be good for Leenock if he can take this down. He's got a nice army there. At the same time, Leenock doesn't have a huge amount back at home to defend, so this is great timing here for RecoN. He's going to actually deny the wooden fortress going up at all. So that's really rough for Leenock, but at the same time, it's taken out the pit mine, and he's just going to back off momentarily while he brings this whole army across the map. So Leenock's doing a lot of walking around here, and RecoN can probably collapse on top of him realistically, because he's bringing these guys back across as well, and he's up by a little bit in terms of the military population count. So worker counts are dead even at the moment, but Leenock's already investing in a farm economy, having been pushed off his huntables there. So this is costing a bit of wood here. Okay, so the Kremlin actually offers the same wood steroid that the fortresses do. So for Rus, drop off lumber camps in range of a Kremlin, a town, or a Kremlin or a fortress will actually allow for 20% more wood dropped off. So, but even still, these aren't as cheap as they are for the English, so it is ultimately a little bit of a hit. These slower archers get whittled away out here. There's a lot of warrior scouts there for RecoN as well. A lot of spears for Leenock, so I think compositionally for the moment Leenock is slightly ahead, even though RecoN does have the unit count advantage. But in saying that, there's a lot of Donso as well. So these guys, pair of Musafati, I don't know what. Anti-armor specialist. Is there really any armor yet for Leenock? I don't think there is. But all those militia are actually dying off, and every time that happens, it really does slow down Leenock because, right now, Leenock's lost quite a lot in terms of value of those. What is this Kremlin style and why are people doing it? Because it honestly seems crap. I don't know if it's just the RecoN effect or if it's a shit build, but like Leenock is down 2,000 resources to RecoN, even though he's seemingly been pushing better. So, in saying that, RecoN's really delayed the hunt gathering here. He's taken out the structures over here. Hasn't really done any village damage like he was able to pull off last game. And in fact, looks like Leenock might be able to deal a bit of damage to RecoN here. But in saying that, 95 army population, and this is going to pull 15 of Leenock's 65 out of the mix. So RecoN can honestly just look at shoving here, I think, and just try and deal as much or more damage as Leenock is doing to him back at home, and then just rely on his defenders to rely on his newly trained units to be his defenders. So it's actually adding Sofa now, so these guys will compete really well against the horsemen, even in a population disadvantage. This will be rough for Leenock because he's got plenty of food in the bank actually. So he's looking to try and get his castle age here though, so this will be tough for him because he's floating a bit of extra gold and he's sort of stuck perfectly between the age up food and having to commit it to continually replacing units here. So this could work out well for RecoN. He's not got a lot of resources in the bank himself, so I think if he loses this fight, RecoN will be quite far behind, but at the moment, like, this military population's favouring him. And Leenock, again, is really struggling to get to that nice castle age. Get those heavy units out in the field. And he's sort of hesitant to try and spend through this as well because he wants to get castle. So RecoN's really managed to cut a lot of his opponent's army down here at a great time. Leenock floating 500 gold he doesn't really need. Short by about 400 food, or 500 food. I don't know if that fight could have gone better for RecoN, really. I mean, he didn't get a lot of villager kills, but at the same time, it means he walks out of this with a slightly bigger economy than Leenock and a much larger army. And Leenock gonna... Ooh, he was gonna go for the Abbey, but instead he's gonna go for the trade house because it may be easier. Well, it's gonna mean he's not gonna have to outlay the gold initially to try and get warrior monks to actually generate the gold from their relics. You just start generating the gold straight away from the trade house, and you get a source of deer. But in saying that, it's a big commitment for Leenock because right now RecoN 50 military pop, slightly up on that Vil count as well. Cattle ranch, so we've got... Once RecoN can get some more cattle out here, he can start filling up that ranch too. Just looking at taking out some structures. Getting the market here could be tough on Leenock because, I mean, as much as it's not a cheap building in itself. Well, actually it is down to 100 wood though. I thought they used to be more. The fact that Leenock can't really shuffle any extra resources into, you know, more in-demand resources can also be a bit of a pain for him because he's now fighting on the back foot in terms of the army size, and it's losing a lot of production here. RecoN actually focusing down that barracks there. Ooh, if he gets this range, he can prevent the veteran upgrade from kicking in here for Leenock as well. This could be quite drastic, and everything seems to be going RecoN's way once again here in this matchup. So he's going to have to back off because he doesn't really have any heavy units at the moment, but he's got some rams, and he's got, well, he's going to build some rams, sorry, and he does have the capacity to go to age 3 himself. And again, now he's actually going to start filling up his cattle ranches for passive food generation on top of having, you know, some villagers gather from the cattle. Remember garrison on the way, so RecoN can train some cheap batches of units. Well, that trade house for Leenock is giving him a nice gold trickle. It's actually slightly stronger than a single relic, and on top of that, you know, it is spawning deer as well. So he kills them, he gets 10 gold. He then can gather the food at the accelerated rate. But Leenock's got to come up with something here because RecoN's looking very safe at home. Age 3 about to kick in. He's got that military advantage, got a small eco advantage. A couple of knights and some archers. It's not the greatest of age 3 comps, really. It's, you know, that's like an age 2 Rus comp, really. So RecoN's just taking out what he can. That Kremlin is under a bit of threat now, but RecoN's actually going to try and take out the stables first, just really minimize Leenock's ability to mass up an army and actually turn this around at all. So another production facility falling, and now I think he's just going to try and engage the army itself. Well, in fact, that cabin going down could be nice because it's going to take a bit of gold gen off Leenock as well. It's already fighting an uphill battle. So rather than necessarily just beelining the Kremlin down, with the ranch just taking out houses and other structures here, and RecoN's still got that military advantage, so Leenock going to be very careful with his archers, but he can only back up so much before he's outside of town center range, and then he loses his real defender's advantage there. And he doesn't want these guys right out in the open where all the sofa can just surround them. RecoN's still got a bit of an army advantage, but bearing in mind a lot of it is having to run across the field to actually reinforce at the moment. These two battering rams aren't really under a huge amount of threat at the moment, and Leenock, his army is basically just archers at this point. And so he's going to have to try and bring villagers in to deal with the ram. It's going to slow down his economy a little bit. And now RecoN, a lot of reinforcements here to back this up. Leenock gets through it by the skin of his teeth, but he's going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat now, I think. Well, RecoN will be shaping up to try and deal the killing blow here. I think he realizes if he either gets this town center or takes out more production, I think it might be over here, because when RecoN even grabbing the relics at the moment, going to start grabbing sacred sites. So he's pulling further and further ahead. He's up 22 eco pop. He's got almost double the military pop of Leenock at the moment. He's trying to get on this berries and get that last deer as well. Leenock, even though he's age 3, has got... I mean, it's an age 2 comp. It's saying that, you know, Musafati are great against armored units while being a light unit themselves. So I guess it sort of makes sense that he's sticking with a light comp for the time being. At the same time, without really any knight or horseman pressure from Leenock, RecoN's just safe to try and wall up as much as he can. Leenock's got quite a number of upgrades for his military, but RecoN pretty much matching him on upgrades. So the players got 2 ranged upgrades apiece, ranged damage upgrades, and then 1 of every other upgrade apiece. RecoN actually opting for Academy, so he gets that train speed bonus. So the beauty of this is if for every 3 military production buildings you've effectively got 4 now in terms of the actual increased train speed. And RecoN, I think he's just going for it. He knows he's up something in terms of the military and eco pop. And Leenock, he's trying to defend as best he can. center hasn't been repaired yet, and 2 rams should be able to make quick work of it, but Leenock's able to pinch one of the rams. It's going to be tough for him to focus down the other ram. Musafati just hanging back there. They're going to go in now. And now it's looking really tough for Leenock. He's trying to bunch up the bows as best he can, really prevent a surround from RecoN, but RecoN, a lot of archers here of his own, so he can focus down the opponent's archers. Just be a general nuisance for Leenock to deal with here. It's town center. I think it's long for this world. 2,000 health. Military count's really favouring RecoN now. He's continuing to wall up further and further. Be able to get on all 3 sacred sites. Just bleed Leenock out here, but saying that, I don't think it's even going to go that far. GG. Leenock taps out and RecoN takes a series 2-0.